Well, hello and welcome to today's episode of the Power of Your Mind podcast. You're listening to episode number 113. I'm Victoria Gallagher, Law of Attraction hypnotist and #1 best-selling author of Practical Law of Attraction, Align Yourself with the Manifesting Conditions and Successfully Attract Your Desires. I'm also the founder of HypnoCloud Apps and HipTalk.com, which gives you access to over 500 hypnosis recordings right in the palm of your hand. So be sure to download that app from the app stores. Today, I have a very special guest with me, Laura Noel. If you're like most high-performing leaders, you are tired of being pulled in multiple directions with zero time left for yourself. As a certified Proctor Gallagher coach and 27-year military leader, Laura Noel helps high performers live empowered, fulfilling lives, all while achieving their highest potential. She helps leaders focus on what really matters so that they can stop feeling out of control, become more effective with their time, and spend more time doing what they love. She's also a top Proctor Gallagher coach. I'm sorry, let me clap that out. I left that in there. All right. Okay, that's so that my audio guy knows. All right. And so she can be found on stretchintosuccess.com, and she can also be found on Facebook /stretch into success. Today, Laura is going to be sharing some of her insights on realizing your untapped potential, not through grit, but through the path of least resistance. So welcome to the show, Laura.
Hi, and thank you so much for having me.
It's such a pleasure to meet you and have you on the show. And we're both, if you're listening to the podcast and not watching it on YouTube, we're both wearing this beautiful blue color top. I mean, we literally came with the exact same color top. And so it's always nice when you're in sync with the person that you're person you're interviewing. And being that she works with the Proctor Gallagher Institute, my last name is Gallagher. We've got all kinds of things in common. We both actually are Psi graduates, Psi seminars,
which is crazy.
And we just found that out. That's also crazy. So we've got a lot in common. But Laura is definitely here to talk to you about how you can be more productive and live a more fulfilled life. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, I really appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. So tell us just a little bit about your background, what actually led you down this path to becoming a coach and an entrepreneur.
Well, I was serving in the military. And at one point during my service, I just realized that I was in this constant grind and this hamster wheel. It was like I had this insatiable desire to always go after that next goal and that next mountain. And I thought, okay, after this next mountain, I'll be happy. And, from the outside looking in, my career was incredible. I reached the top 1% of the enlisted force, and even few of us are women. I really had a lot going for me. And from the outside looking in, it looked like I had it going on. But inside, I felt lonely. I felt frazzled. I felt out of control. It was like I was looking to all these external circumstances to fill some sort of a void. And I remember meeting somebody on a movie set. We were extras in a movie. And she had gone to Psi seminars, and she started talking about women's leadership. And I didn't know much about it. I just said, I want that. I'm all in. I don't know. I don't care. Like, sign me up. And so I signed up, and I went through all these classes, and I found myself. I really started to love myself. And when I started working with Bob Proctor, who was speaking at one of those events, I had been in the service for about 27 years. I had all of these degrees and certifications. In fact, the last certification I received was yoga, teaching yoga. And I started actually teaching it in the military and my office for free. Anybody who wanted to come at the end of the day, they could come. And I started noticing changes in, if they had PTSD, just their demeanor, how they felt physically. And I thought, oh, if I could bottle this up, this mindset piece, this is
Yeah.
really powerful. And so I was looking for a curriculum. And so lo and behold, I go to Sci seminars, Bob Proctor is talking, and I say, how do you know when you found your purpose? I'm collecting all these degrees and certifications. I'm not passionate about any of it. I'm exhausted. And he just started asking me questions about what I did, my background. And he said, we have something I think you would be really a great fit for. Give me your contact information and I'll get you connected. Well, I was planning on retiring from the military in 3 years, but in 3 months, I submitted my retirement, I got it approved, and within 6 months, I replaced my income working half the time serving people in this capacity full-time as an entrepreneur. My
Woo!
passion. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? And when you get really clear, you get really focused and you know what you're passionate about, things, they don't have to take a long time. They can,
No.
it's like the universe just conspires with you to get everything out of the way and to line everything up so that you can do what you as a spiritual human being were meant to do and that you were put on this earth to do. And so that's amazing. And it's just funny, our stories collide in just another aspect is because we both met Bob Proctor. I mean, you had to have a much longer relationship with him. I only met him for a very short period of time, but we both met him through, the Sci seminars because he's just been very committed to that organization. It's really, he's so inspiring. I love Bob Proctor. And so I can only imagine that the curriculum that you have been learning and teaching, it's got to be hands down. I mean, top notch.
I love it. I mean, it's really, I was all over the place. We have those type of people who are all over the place and woo, busy. And that was me.
Woo, busy.
Right? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So that's me. That's me in a nutshell. And honestly, I remember when I went to one of the seminars before I met Bob, and I was like, you know what? I was upset because I felt like I hadn't given 100% to anything before, 100% of myself. And it was because I was doing what I thought other people thought I should do. I wasn't setting my own goals. I was doing what was incremental, what was logical, what I should do for my career or other people. And there's no passion or inspiration in that. And so I was always spread too thin. So this was the first time that I did something from start to finish and really poured my heart and soul into it. And you're right, it doesn't take more effort. Like I think of Napoleon Hill, it requires no more effort to aim high in life, to expect abundance and prosperity than it does to accept misery and poverty. And I really felt what that meant.
I love that quote.
Yeah.
I love that quote. That's amazing. That is amazing. And so it doesn't require more effort. And yet, I know that a lot of entrepreneurs can totally relate to the feeling like overwhelmed, feeling stressed, feeling like, well, in order to achieve my goals, in order to achieve success, I'm going to have to work even harder. I'm going to have to put in more hours. And so, we've been conditioned to believe that working hard is the only way to success. So how can we achieve our full potential without working hard?
Yeah, the first thing is you have to put yourself first. And I know that is a difficult thing for a lot of people because we've been conditioned to believe also that that's selfish. But allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to put your oxygen mask on first, isn't that what they say in the airlines?
Yep.
So you could serve others. If you give yourself permission, you're going to be able to serve people all the more. So I say put yourself first, because when we're in the grind and we're just busy for the sake of being busy, we're not thinking. We're operating on animal instinct. right? And the thing that separates us from the rest of the animal kingdom, as far as we know, is we've been blessed with mental faculties, our imagination, our intuition, our reason, will, perception, memory. And when we're having knee-jerk reactions and we're always busy, Bob says mental activity does not constitute thinking. We're not thinking. We're just allowing circumstances to dictate how we feel, push us on one direction or the other, and we're not thinking. But when we have that quiet and we create that space first, we get clear on what we want, then we can listen to our own inner GPS.
Yeah.
And that's what drives us.
That makes so much sense, because it's the brain's job to think, and it just does that on automatic pilot. And if we don't control our thoughts, if we don't decide and choose our thoughts deliberately, we're just going to end up thinking the same thoughts that we've been thinking for the last, yesterday, last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Pretty much since we were 5 years old. So we're making decisions every day based on logic that we had when we were children. Unless we take deliberate effort, the effort is really in conditioning the mind is really what you're alluding to here. And so if I am not getting the specific results that I want in my life, in my career, in my relationships, in my health, is it because of, would you say, law of attraction isn't working?
The law of attraction is always working. And we attract who we are. We don't attract what we want. Mm-hmm. And so it was interesting because when in the movie The Secret and the book The Secret is awesome, but people who don't understand universal laws were maybe confused, thinking, if I want this thing that I want to be, do, or have, if I just focus my energy and attention and put the vision boards all over the place, I'll get it. But it's not necessarily true. It's only half of the equation, because the law of attraction is a secondary law to the law of vibration. And the law of vibration decrees that we live in an ocean of motion. Everything is vibrating at a high frequency, made up of molecules, and our thoughts are also energy. And so if we want to attract something that is beyond where we are, typically we'll say, well, when I get that, then I can relax, or then I'll be an entrepreneur, then I'll be successful. But you have to be that in your state of mind and how you feel first. You have to get clarity on what you want, and then live and view the world from that space, not think of it as a destination. So that's how you shift your energy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so many people really fail to understand that concept. And that's one of the reasons actually why, I wrote my book, is because there were so many people kind of complaining about, The Secret. Oh, it's a scam. The law of attraction, it's a scam. It's not, there's so much to really understand and really go over in a 90-minute movie, that it's really hard for people to walk away from that with a full understanding and scope of what you need to do. But you're right. You have to bring yourself, your vibration to what it is that you want. So many people have it reverse. It's like, I'll be happy as soon as that happens. I'll be happy as soon as I get into that relationship, or as soon as we finally get married, or as soon as I get into the best shape of my life, or as soon as I get that house, or as soon as I blah, blah, blah. No, you're going to get those things once you are in the vibration that you would be in having had those things.
That's exactly right. And it's interesting because when I've talked to people who are starting a business and they're new entrepreneurs, I get them to imagine the ideal day in the life, their day of excellence, and really visualize not just seeing it and journaling about it, but feeling it through your five senses. What are you doing? Who are you surrounding yourself with? What type of conversations are you having? But then also change something now in your physical surroundings to emulate that. So if you would have people cleaning your house every week, but it's not feasible right now, it doesn't mean that you put yourself out there and do that, but maybe once a month or once a quarter, you treat yourself to that, and then you grow into that. But you experience what that feels like.
Yes, exactly. And I agree with that. It's about moving yourself literally physically into motion with what it is that you want. Take some things off your plate that you wouldn't be doing if you were living your dream ideal life. Just take one thing off your plate and replace it with something that you would be doing, and so, you're actually in actuality, in physical terms, you're taking action and you're actually doing things that you would be, that you really want to end up doing. So it's
Mm,
very cool. So
yeah.
what are some ways, I might have kind of answered part of that question, but what are some ways that you can begin now to shift your vibration?
So non-negotiable for me is putting yourself first thing in the morning.
Mhm.
And you probably have heard Abraham Hicks talk about segment intending. So, and I just was talking about this in a Facebook Live, is reading an essay by Thomas Troward. What is your point of support? Is it inside of you or is it outside of you? And how you see that will determine how you show up in the world and the experience you have in the world. So really what that means is you segment intending, you deciding how you're going to feel at different points during the day or throughout the day, how your interactions are going to go, regardless of what actually happens. And when you start to do that, I think that's a simple way is, today I am going to have positive interactions with people. I'm going to look for the lessons and the opportunities and everything. I'm going to be filled with joy no matter what. I'm going to be solution oriented. I'm going to be loving. And so when you set that intention in the day, and I remember doing this when I was driving to work, when I would do that, my days were set up and just wonderful, beautiful things would happen. I would see it. That's how your brain works, right? But the days where I was driving to work, where I was just like, ugh, I don't even feel like thinking. I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna go on autopilot and go to work. Well,
Yes.
your subconscious mind takes over, and then that's when you're like, what the heck happened? My day just went down the drain. I had the conflict and these circumstances. So set yourself up for success. It's a simple thing, but I would start there. Segment, intend how you feel, because how you feel ultimately shifts your vibration. Even if you're not actively focusing on a goal, it'll at least put you in harmony with all that's in that space. But I would
Yes.
start there.
Isn't
And then
it funny?
think about it.
Yeah, and it just requires a little bit of discipline, I believe, to to realize it's like whatever it is that I'm vibrating and however I'm feeling, that's the reality that I am causing to happen. So we have to catch ourselves when sometimes we can allow the outside world to impact and influence how we're feeling in not so wonderful of a way, and then people get stuck there, and then they're in a self-perpetuating cycle of continuing to attract more of the things that are lined up with that vibration. So yeah, I love that. You have to choose various different times of your day, no matter what is happening. At noon, I'm going to feel, I'm going to feel awesome. I'm going to feel amazing. I'm going to be high vibing. Whatever the words you want to put to that. I'm going to be in gratitude. I'm going to be in bliss. I'm going to be excited.
Yeah. And that's what you have control over. And it's like, if you've ever tried controlling circumstances, it's like herding cats. You can't, right?
Right.
You can't.
Yeah.
But
Well,
you
it's
can
like
control
looking in the
you.
mirror and trying to change the reflection.
I love that. Yeah. No, that's so true. And you know what's interesting is I used to think that as long as I wasn't projecting a negative attitude on somebody else, because that's not how I operate. As long as I wasn't being mean or hurtful or nasty to somebody else, it didn't matter. If I wanted to be grouchy, then I was going to be grouchy. If I wanted to swallow that hurt or resentment, as long as I wasn't taking it out, I wasn't hurting anyone. And that's so wrong. I didn't realize. It's like we're taught in our society to suppress our feeling, and that just causes dis-ease in the body and for us to disintegrate from the inside out. That's really not a good way of being, and really you're going to attract things that are in harmony with it, even though you're, what's going on? I'm being kind to others, but are you being kind to yourself? Are you swallowing that? Are you absorbing that negativity?
Exactly. Yeah. I always say that, you ultimately, I mean, we're not going to, it's not natural, it's not normal, and we're not going to feel up, 100% of the time. We're not going to be happy 100% of the time. But, as long as you don't stay stuck in that way of being, it's going to be okay to feel those feelings briefly.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I say, I mean, what you resist persists. So if you resist feeling the way that you're feeling, then you're just going to continue feeling it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, we're dealing with universal laws. So the law of rhythm, the pendulum swings one direction, it swings the other way. And it's, the tide goes out, the tide comes in. It's like, what are you doing in the lull, in the dip?
Mm-hmm.
So, and
Mm-hmm.
if you can understand that what goes up must come down, and you can kind of maintain that equilibrium, then you're not going to have the pendulum swing one direction really far and the other. You can kind of ride that wave. And if it does swing in the opposite direction, just know that what you do now in that moment is so important, because it's going to determine how you really move out when the pendulum swings the other direction.
Yeah. That's a great advice. So right now, especially because it's July 29th, 2020, if you're listening to this from the future, 5 years from now, you can look back and you can remember what we were going through at this time in our life, where there's a lot of stuff going on out there. And so how do we navigate that now, with staying in alignment with our goals, with our dreams, with our desires? How do we stay present, and stay in alignment with what it is that we want, when the whole world looks like it's going to hell in a handbasket right now? For
Yeah.
some people, it looks like the whole world is just crumbling all around us.
Yeah, I think it's important, one, to harvest the good and not focus your attention. And I'm not saying don't be aware of what's going on. You want to be aware, but you just don't want to live there all the time.
Mm.
And I think if you have a business or you're working toward a goal, train yourself to ask the right questions. So, because you're going to get different answers. So if you're like, oh my God, the sky is falling and my business is bleeding, how can I stop my business from bleeding money? You're going to get a different answer than, how can I serve people in a better way? How can I
Yes.
be more effective in less time? How can I show up and be a leader for myself and my family and my community right now? You're going to get different answers, and they're all valid questions, but if you're focusing on the problem, unless your job is to, cure and come up with a vaccine, then you probably don't want to focus on the problem. You want to focus on, how can I serve now? How can I serve my clients? How can I serve my community, my family? How can I care for myself right now? How can I connect with the people around me? That I think that it's imperative to
Yeah, I agree.
really shift it.
Yeah, and shift is a great answer, because the world is always changing and always shifting. So, if we're feeling upset, a lot of it is because we have an attachment to the way things were, and they're not that way right now. We have to be present. And also, if you're feeling bad, if you're feeling angry, if you're feeling frustrated, if you're feeling depressed, whatever it is, that's a good sign that you are inward focused.
Mhm.
And when you can turn that into being more outward focused, how can I serve? Then, like you said, that's going to change and cleanse the mindset to attract more resources to serve. Because I think that's what we're really all here to do. We all have gifts to share with the world. And so, um, we need to look out there and say, how can I help? What can I do? How can I make a difference? How can I leave my mark on this planet?
Yeah. And, even if you're kind of like, oh, I don't know about the law of attraction thing, think about your brain, right? Even how your brain operates, your reticular activating system, and it's a filter for things that come in. So, and there's like different data points out there of how many billion pieces of information we take in through all of our five senses, but we can only process a very small percentage of it consciously. So this information comes in and it's looking for a match for what you know. It's looking for a match for what you already believe on a subconscious level. And it's a good thing, because if you're in a crowded space and somebody says something that sounds like your name, you can tune out all the noise and go, oh, that, somebody's calling my name, right? But it can trip us up when we have these limiting beliefs because we're looking for a match for what we believe is true. But once we make a decision, I want the red car. Well, maybe we didn't see them all over the place, but once we make that decision, our reticular activating system chimes in, filters out everything that's not a match, and then you see red cars all around you. But the same is true with solutions. When we're focused on a problem, okay, problem, the universe or your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between positive and negative. It can't reject information. It only accepts. All right, you want more problems? Here you go. Here's some more stuff to look at on Facebook. Or you can switch it. This is what I want. You have to direct. The universe is waiting to give you what you ask for. It's just waiting for a command.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's really important to, our vocabulary, what we say and how we say it, because if we say, I don't want any more problems, I don't want to be fat anymore, I don't want to be lonely, I don't want to be poor. If we say these things, well, the universe doesn't hear that you don't want it. It only hears what the idea is in that sentence: poor, broke, lonely, and depressed. You have to talk about what it is. You have to put your focus on what it is that you do want.
That's so true. It's funny because Bob will say, if you're thinking debt, I want to be debt free, you're always going to be in debt.
Yeah.
So think abundance. I want a surplus. I want more than enough for all of my wants and needs.
Yeah, because if you have abundance, the debt takes care of itself. You don't even have to think about it.
Right.
And so many people, they have that as a goal in life. It's like, yeah, I just want to pay off all my bills. And it's like, well, we got to think beyond that in order to cover having the bills paid. What do you really want? Because seriously, I mean, if you didn't have the bills, what would you want?
Yeah.
What would you be going for? It's a great question to ask people, because the bills, the debt, all the things that we don't want. So many people just focus on that, and it's actually in a way it's like a lack mentality to focus on what we're trying to get away from.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. It's so true. And it's like, sometimes people will say, I don't want anything different. I want it exactly how it is and just pay off my things and my debt. But the law of vibration, everything is moving, constantly growing and evolving. And so there's no such thing as stability. So you're either in a state of growth or decay. And so if you're staying the same, I don't want to change anything. I don't want to grow anymore. Guess what? The world around you is changing. So just by the nature of you sitting still, it's a natural thing. Spirit is for want and fuller expression. I think sometimes there's a guilt associated for wanting. I've had people that had to give themselves permission to want, and that was a big deal. That was a big breakthrough to overcome.
It's true. There's so much negative association with wanting more, with wanting it. I mean, just the word, I love money. Oh my God, everybody's like having a heart attack right now because I just said that, right?
Yeah.
I love money. However, money, I mean, look at all the wonderful things that it does for people. And and money's good. And I mean, can it be used for ill will? Absolutely. But, that doesn't mean that people who have it are bad people. It doesn't mean anything about money in general. It's just energy. It's just a way of expanding. And we're meant to expand. We are absolutely meant to expand, and the more money you have, the more good you can do in the world.
I agree. And it's like money is a magnifier. So if you are a negative person, maybe you'll just be more negative. But if you're a giving, loving person, it's not going to turn you into a bad person. You're still going to be loving and giving, but you're going to be able to serve in a bigger way.
Absolutely. Wow. Well, this has been so fun. The time has already gone by so fast.
Oh, wow. This has been great.
Yes. Is there anything else any other questions that I've kind of like left out? Anything that you want to leave our audience understanding or knowing today? I mean, I could go on and on talking about how the law of attraction works and how you help people. Tell us just a little bit more about like how you work with people and how you coach people to change their relationship with business success. I'd love to find out a little bit more about that.
Yeah, success is a system, right? And if we're just out there dreaming, but we're not putting anything behind it, then probably we're not going to get the results that we want. So what I do when I work with somebody is I help them get clear on what they want. And that seems like a simple thing, but that's so difficult for a lot of people. They don't know what they want. They've never taken the time for themselves to really connect with that part of themselves. So I take them through a 6-month process, getting clear on what they want. Then we start to move. We're taking action. Even though we don't know the plan yet, the whole plan, if it's a beautiful, worthy goal, worthy of the awesomeness that is you, spirit in a body, then you're not going to see all the steps to get there. And if you can, there's not going to be any fulfillment in that. You're going to be like I was, busy, but lonely and unfulfilled, right? Yeah. But you want to go for a vision. That's your goal. And so when you start stepping toward that vision, those ideas, those programs are going to start to pop up, like, oh, money is bad. Money is the root of all evil. Or, oh, I feel guilty for taking time for myself. Or I've got to work hard. Those beliefs, some of which you're aware of and some you're not, they're going to start to crop up. So we address those and we replace them with programs that are in alignment with your vision. So now you have this big, beautiful vision, and now you have some new ways of being and beliefs that you want to install into your subconscious mind. Because remember, your subconscious mind only believes what you feed it with emotion. And that's what we're doing over the course of 6 months, is we're working toward that goal. We're taking action. And what I find, and what I've experienced in myself as well, is that you do make quantum leaps. You get there much faster because you're not in resistance. You're stepping into the essence of who you truly are, and you're taking inspired action, which you might find that you're taking less action, but there's more impact, more leverage behind it instead of woo busy action. And so that's what we do over the course of 6 months. And people are just astounded by the results that they're getting, because they're aligning what they want. They're figuring out what's standing in their way. They're changing it, and they're working on their energy at the same time. And it's all toward one beautiful common goal.
I was literally thinking the word beautiful. That absolutely sounds like a beautiful unfolding process of you discovering and becoming who you were meant to be in this world. And I love what you said about not just programming this in, with mere words, but programming it in with emotion. I love the quote in another Napoleon Hill quote that says, mere words, you know what, I had it and then I just lost it. But plain old unemotionalized words, don't have the impact on the subconscious mind. You absolutely do need the emotion. And so That really makes a lot of sense. And, you know, I mean, 6 months of your life to really turn your whole thing, or, you know, your whole life around, your whole business around, so that you're no longer struggling and you're no longer running on this hamster wheel
Right.
trying to get someplace, but just working harder and spinning your wheels and not really getting where you want to go. 6 months, you know, is a very short investment of your time to really get yourself aligned with your vision so that you can achieve your desires and your dream life. I love it. I love it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I love what I do. And I find that people will invest in training.
Mm-hmm.
They'll invest in the tools and the tactical, mechanical things. But if they really just worked on themselves first,
Mm-hmm.
and then they would be clear on exactly what they needed to move them to the
Yes.
next level. But instead, I find people are like, I took this class and this one, and none of it's working. Well, there's nothing wrong with the tools. It starts with you. You're the one using the tools, and you actually might not even need them if you got clear on what you truly desired and then took inspired action instead of fearful action, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's the subconscious mind's job to keep everything exactly in alignment with what it believes right now. So if you have beliefs that I am not meant to succeed, or that, you know, money's dirty, or whatever, if you, whatever beliefs you have, it doesn't matter what strategies you use, what tools you buy, what trainings you take, what equipment you have, you know, you're just spinning your wheels until you get the subconscious mind in alignment with what, you know, you want. And it's never going to be different. You could do this 20 years.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
true.
it's never going to be different until that changes. So what is one thing that they could do right now to take a step toward that?
Take 15 minutes for yourself first thing in the morning before you look at your phone and get influenced with social media and email, and just relax. Get yourself into a relaxed state. And if it's journaling, just whatever comes to your mind's eye, just allow yourself to be childlike and have fun. If I could go anywhere, have anything I wanted with the people and have the experiences I wanted, or the growth experiences, what would that look like? Don't get into the how, just start dreaming. Maybe for a week or two, just allow yourself to write a shopping list of things that you want to be, do, have, experience. And then maybe toward the end of those 2 weeks, take a look at it and pick one or two, and then start to daydream about, well, I wonder, how could I actually do that? And then allow yourself to dream and brainstorm about that for a few days. And then you're turning your fantasy into a theory, into a goal. That's how you start to develop a big, beautiful, worthy goal. So I would start there, putting yourself first. And then once you have that goal, use that time in the morning to bring yourself to that state of living from that goal. So it's kind of a morning time, 10, 15 minutes. You're getting clear on some things that you want to be. Then you're figuring out, let me pick one or two of those. How could I actually do that? And then you're setting one of those things as a goal. Then you're envisioning yourself in that space, in that emotion of it. And then you'll have ideas and sparks of inspiration that come to your mind's eye. Act on them. That's inspired action. You're in harmony with your goal, your vision at that moment.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, that sounds like a wonderful technique. And I understand that you also have a free giveaway just for our listeners of Power of Your Mind podcast, which is 6 mind-changing techniques, which are available with a bunch of other goodies that you also mentioned earlier, which I can let you expand on. But
Sure.
if you go, she created a page just for our listeners here of gifts that you can download completely free of charge. And it's on her website, stretchintosuccess.com/power of mind. And so that'll also be in the show notes. So you can just click over there, you can get your free stuff, and you can start working on strengthening the power of your mind and really start seeing some results. See yourself moving toward the things that you want, because it's so important that you expand your awareness and expand yourself as a human being. You deserve it. And so let me hear a little bit from you on what else they can expect to see on this page.
Yeah, so definitely grab those 6 mindset changing techniques. And then what that will do is will enable you to get my weekly newsletter. So you'll know when I have events coming up. There's also a monthly webinar that I host. So you'll be able to register for that. And then there's a link if you're like, you know what, I've been looking for a coach. I want to talk to you and I want the things too, but you can book a call on my calendar. You'll have access to that as well. But please do at least download those mindset changing techniques, because although I have monthly webinars, I am excited because I'm about to start doing some free 5-day workshops where we'll spend about 45 minutes a day over the course of 5 days. Because an hour, it's not enough. It's like reading a book and it becoming shelf help. You're not going to internalize it. You'll get it. You'll get it intellectually, but I want you to have a win. I want you to experience what this feels like over a period of time. So stay in the know, so to speak.
Awesome. Wow. Well, thank you so much. And I'm actually going to run over there and grab myself a copy of all of that as well, because I'm just always a sponge for learning and growing and learning new ways of phrasing things, or like just learning. I just love learning. I think it's one of my favorite things to do, learning and then teaching, and then learning and then teaching.
I'm with you on that.
That was one of the reasons why I invented and came up with this podcast, because you know what, I thought, well, I just want to interview people that I find interesting, and might as well just share it with the world, the things that I'm discovering during these conversations. So thank you for enlightening me, and also thank you for enlightening the audience of Power of Your Mind podcast.
Thank you for having me. It was really a pleasure. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you.